What's going on, good people? Rich here.
School in the building. What's happening?
What's going on, y'all? It's your girl Ray P. Welcome back to the first episode of the new year of the Culture Garden podcast.
Yeah.
Woo!
We absolutely we back. We back, man. Feels good to be back. Give us, bear with us so that bear with us, everyone. It's been a few weeks.
Yeah.
We haven't recorded anything since the Friends and Family episode, which
Wow.
I said it on the intro for last week's drop with the episode with Maurice and Spike. We're still riding that high. That was an incredible time. So thank you for everybody out there for that. But yeah, man, just bear with us. We're trying some new things this episode. It's been a while. We're going to knock the cobwebs off here and get things rolling. But I know this is the first episode, like Rachel said, for the Culture Guard. But shout out to School's Guilty Pleasures.
Hey.
Dropping the first episode on the feed this year. Was that Waiting that we did?
Yes, sir.
Oh, man, you stacking the episodes up, so now I'm getting them confused. But Waiting just dropped, so that's still the last episode on this feed. Just go back and listen to that. Ray P, obviously, we got y'all. I am looking forward to the 2024 for We Got Y'all.
Yeah.
A lot of good things coming, even though they're pissing us off with these show cancellations.
For sure.
We won't get into it today, but I'm really looking forward to the things that we're going to be discussing and the kind of ideas that are coming up. There is a new Instagram page for We Got Y'all. Rachel, what's that? What's the page name?
We Got Y'all Pod.
We Got Y'all Pod. It will be in the episode description. Please make sure you follow it for everything We Got Y'all related. Rachel's been on her design tip. She's been on the promo run. Salute. I love to see it. I texted you and I told you I love to see this shit, man. This shit dope. Like,
man, shout out to everybody who really does that shit, who really understands Canva and whatever other system. I have not created a flyer or done any of that since undergrad. Nigga, that shit is hard. So salute to y'all.
For sure, man. As always, our link tree is in our episode description. Everything that we're doing and we're a part of, you can find it there, including our YouTube page. Please remember to subscribe, to rate, share, comment, tell a friend to tell a friend. That's how this community grows. You know how we feel about y'all, Culture Garden family. We want to keep extending that out. So thanks for tuning in once again. And before we get into today's episode, I did mention this a little bit different. There are going to be a number of movies that we'll have many conversations on. When I say many, I mean MINI, not MANY. But we'll have many conversations about. And if you haven't seen these movies, there will be spoiler alerts. There are just some things that we don't want to spoil for you. And I personally, this is a me thing. I don't want to raise anyone's expectations by certain films that I really enjoyed or down you on ones that I didn't like as much. Yeah. I'm real big. I've told the story before about The Hangover. I didn't go to the theaters right away to see The Hangover. It was about 2 or 3 weeks of everyone telling me it was the funniest movie they ever saw. My expectations were through the roof. By the time I saw it, I liked it, but not as much as if I saw it opening weekend. Yeah. Everyone was telling me this shit the funniest shit ever, blah, 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 blah. So ever since then, I've been very mindful of expectations. Like, I liked it. Tell me what you think after you see it. I'm just that type of guy. Yeah. And I don't want to hype anyone up and you think that a certain movie is going to be something and it's not what you expected. That's a long way of saying there'll be spoilers this episode. And we're obviously talking about the 24th annual Black Reel Awards. Listen, art is subjective. We say it all the time. Comparison's a thief of joy. But award shows are fun to talk about. Yeah. And ranking this shit subjectively is fun to talk about. So School, Rachel, and myself decided it would be a fun time for us to do something new, to talk about an award show, which reminds me a lot of the Culture Garden as far as what it was founded on. Just making sure that the flowers are being spread evenly throughout the culture. Like there are certain movies and performances that are getting the mainstream attention, quote unquote. So we made a space for that. And doing this podcast, I was introduced to the Black Reel Awards, and I just thought it was a perfect lane for us to kind of cover, bring more notice to them, the whole nine. I'm not saying that they need it, but I think the Black Reel Awards is a real cool thing. And the fact that they've been around since the year 2000, they got some rep to them and some big awards. So shout out to them. Real quick, before we get into everything, I want to give a brief history of the awards. It was hosted by the Foundation for the Augmentation of African Americans in Film, AAAF, to recognize excellence of African Americans. It was founded by film critic Tim Gordon and Sabrina McNeil in 2000. First ceremony was February 16th, 2000. They've held a live show every now and then, but mostly it's online. They have multiple categories, just like all the other major award shows, ranging from motion picture, independent films, production design, costume design, so on and so forth. And this was the first year, 2024, that they introduced outstanding lead performance, outstanding supporting lead performance. Every other award show had outstanding actor, outstanding actress.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't read anything as to why they changed it up. Maybe it's because of, I've always said it, when you think of the term actor, it's not gender specific. That's an art.
Yeah.
Maybe they were trying to get away from that and kind of ranking everybody together. We might give our best actor / actress this episode because there are 10 people in one category and only one winner, and that's a little bit crowded. And I think there were a lot of great performances, and I like to highlight those. But yeah, most nominated directors as far as the Black Reel Awards. So let's go with actors first. Most nominated actors. Who do you think it is?
Giselle.
Jamie.
Denzel, 16.
Yeah.
16, he had 5 wins. He's got the most awards as far as actors go. Viola has 4 and Jamie has 4. So Rachel, you're not far off.
Okay.
Lupita has 3. Chiwetel Ejiofor has 3. And there's a ton of people with 2 and less, but I just wanted to highlight those with multiple Black Reel Awards. Denzel, man, he kind of, when this thing came around, he kind of ran it for a little bit. He's got a few records that I wanted to touch on real quick. Like I said, he's the first actor to ever win Outstanding Actor. He won 5 awards in 4 consecutive years, from 2000 to 2003, which is a record. He won Outstanding Actor 3 years in a row, which is a record. He won it for The Hurricane, Remember the Titans, and Training Day from 2000 to 2002.
Fair.
All fair.
I think they're all fair. And we'll talk about this later, but y'all know me. I would love to kind of go back retroactively and see if they got these things right. Like maybe one episode, pick a year and just look at the categories and have a conversation about it. We'll say that for another time. They also do TV awards. That started in 2017. So I'll say it right now. Next year, we got y'all's gonna have to discuss the television side of things.
Sure.
Shout out to Abbott Elementary. I know they won some Black Reel Awards this year. Snowfall won. Yeah, absolutely. Dominic Fishback. Shout out to her because every year, every awards run, there's always that one person that's kind of, I don't want to say blocked out because they're nominated, but there's something that's just overpowering their performance. And I know in Swarm, everybody praised her and very worthy. I love her as an actor, period. Like, she's incredible.
Yeah.
She's incredible.
Yeah.
But first and foremost, did y'all watch everything as far as, let me explain, I guess, what we're talking about specifically. There's 22 total categories. We're not going to discuss all of those categories. It's mainly like the big 4: outstanding film, outstanding lead performance, outstanding supporting performance, and outstanding director. We'll talk a little bit about like best ensemble cast, screenplay, stuff like that, but we're going to cover those 4. I did want to give a shout out to everybody who won the Black Reel Awards. Like I said, 22 total categories. The Color Purple had 9 wins, which was the most. American Fiction had 6. Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse had 2. And there were 5 other projects with 1 win. So shout out to everybody who went home with those awards. But as far as those awards or categories that I said we're going to break down, did everybody watch all of the films?
Origin isn't available in Charlotte yet, so I didn't see that.
Same.
Yeah, I didn't see Origin, obviously, and The Color Purple.
Okay, you said I hadn't seen The Color Purple, and that's cool. That's the benefit of us doing it. They announced the winners already.
Yeah.
School and myself were gonna go see Origin. I had tickets to an advanced screening here yesterday, but I found out he hadn't seen American Fiction. And since I knew that they won Outstanding Picture, I felt that was probably a little bit more important to see.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go see Origin this weekend. I still want to support. Shout out to Ava. Shout out to Anjanae. Maybe give a little Anjanou, excuse me. I'm sure. told y'all it's been a few weeks.
That's
Go
my
back.
job.
I know it's your job fucking up names. But no, I want to go maybe talk a couple minutes after I see it about her performance and see what I thought ranked with everything else. I did watch everything. Even y'all watch Talk to Me?
I forgot about that one.
Oh,
No.
no, I think I missed that one too.
Okay,
What
got
was
it.
that?
That was for lead performance.
Was Sophia Wild?
Sophie Wild, I believe it's her name.
Yeah.
Yeah, when I say all the movies, I don't mean like just best picture. I mean like for all the performances and director too. That's what I mean. Look at Rachel laughing now.
Yeah.
That's the only. Is that on streaming?
No, that's the only one that you had to rank. It wasn't in theaters. Everything else was either on streaming or it was in theaters.
Maybe that was why. I'll watch it after and give my thoughts.
No. You're not gonna watch it.
Oh,
you're not gonna. It's a horror movie, and they conjuring up spirits.
Oh,
yeah, they conjuring up spirits in that.
Oh, guard my gates. Absolutely not.
Yeah, I know you ain't about to, especially in the night. I already know. That's why I was like, hold on, you watch everything, my nigga. You watch Talk to Me, because I ain't even want to watch Talk to Me.
Nah.
Shout out to Mia, man. I reached out to Mia because she's a horror film nut. I asked her because I was just gonna ask her for her opinion. I asked her if she watched it, and she was like, "Of course." And I was just gonna ask her for her thoughts because y'all know I don't really rock with horror either.
Yeah.
I'm like, you know what? Let me just. The whole point of this is for me to watch something I normally wouldn't.
Yeah.
Pleasantly surprised.
That's what's up.
Like I say, if you're a spiritual and like I said, if you don't mess with that whole conjuring spirits and all that, you don't even want that energy around, then don't watch it. But as far as a good storyline and just, I guess, a good horror movie, for lack of better terms, I was pleasantly surprised. So shout out to that. Shout out to that. As far as the awards, we'll start with Best Ensemble Cast. And I want to get your opinions on the winner and the nominees. The nominees were The Color Purple, American Fiction, The Blackening, Rustin, They Clone Tyrone. The winner was The Color Purple. Irving, do you guys agree? Was there another film?
So I have, if not The Color Purple for Best Ensemble, I have Rustin or American Fiction.
Okay then. School.
Yeah, I agree. I think definitely The Color Purple. I mean, it was star-studded and it's a musical, so it's a lot to it. You know, you gotta act, you gotta sing. So that's obviously a double-edged sword. But Rustin was dope to me, man. But so was The Blackening. The Blackening was different too.
Yeah. Did everybody see I saw The Blackening in theaters and I watched it in just preparation for this.
Yeah, I watched it.
Yeah. That was one of my favorite, not my favorite, but one of my favorite movie experiences last year. Watching The Blackening, especially the first watch. That cast, I just like that kind of the idea of the next wave of people. I've always been like a Melvin Gregg fan. And there's other people that were in the film that I'm a fan of, but it's just cool to see new faces instead of like the traditional same black faces like we had that run in the late 90s, early 2000s and stuff like that. So I thought that was really dope. And I want to shout them out for that. Rustin was incredible, like you said, as far as the cast goes. And They Clone Tyrone was great, but I think it was very top heavy. As far as the actors go. So I'm perfectly fine. It came down to me personally, American Fiction and The Color Purple. And I told myself, I gave the slight like sliver of an edge to American Fiction, but I also said The Color Purple wins. I'm not tripping at all. Like that's a well-deserved win. Well-deserved win. The other category I was going to ask you about, well, before I even do that, was there anybody you felt was snubbed? Like any actors or any movies that might have been snubbed from categories?
I thought I want to make sure I get his name right. William Castile. Hold on.
What was he in?
He was in 1001. He played Lucky.
Bruh. Same.
I thought he was dope. I believe especially for the role he was playing, You know, he wasn't really. At first, I thought he was gonna be a bad guy, not in the sense of like a criminal, but just like a bad husband or something of that nature. But he was a strong black man for what that young man needed in his life, and he held him down.
Did
Very much so, and I believe he should have been nominated for something.
yeah. Will Catlett is his name.
Okay, Will Catlett. Yep. Yep.
Even when you said you was gonna get it right, you fucked it up.
Yep.
I'm not want to talk today. So
I like him.
What did you think about that, Rachel?
As far as being snubbed, I didn't think so. But now that you say that, you throw him in the mix. Like, yeah, he was good in that movie, which I really did like 1001.
Yeah.
Did you have any other snubs, School?
No, that was it.
What about you, Ray P?
Not really.
So I didn't see The Little Mermaid, but I was surprised that I didn't see Halle there. I just think that was a big moment, especially with the Disney thing. I maybe because it came out early 2023, I don't know, but like I said, I didn't see it, so I can't judge it. I heard she did a great job. I was just a little surprised that she wasn't nominated.
She did.
She was nominated for the Razzies.
For what?
Huh?
To your point, I was gonna say, I was thinking maybe because it was a Disney thing, but then we have Into the Spider-Verse, so
yeah, which I don't think Disney has that. I think Sony has Into the Spider-Verse.
Got it.
Yeah.
Got it.
So Tracy Ellis Ross, I think, could have got nominated for Best Supporting. Not a ton of screen time in American Fiction. For American Fiction,
she did her thing.
I liked her in American Fiction.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, Rachel.
She did well, but she did.
I didn't say win. I just said nominated. It was worth the recognition.
That's a heavy thing for only 12 minutes of screen time.
I think they were a very solid 12 minutes. I wanted more of her. I wanted more of her.
Yeah, I wanted more of her too, but they didn't give it to us. So I see why they didn't nominate her for Best Supporting. It actually made me surprised, and we're jumping, but it made me surprised that she was in so much of the promo with Issa and Erica Alexander because of that. Like, girl, you a cameo.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you both on the sense of I wanted more of her. I was salty.
Well, you think she was more of a cameo than Issa?
Yeah.
I feel like Issa had more scenes, but I don't know. But that I don't know. Let me think about that one.
I feel like the weight of Tracy's character was a bit more important, but Issa was more germane to the entirety of the movie.
And I only say that because you mentioning that just made me realize that I didn't name. I feel like Tracy would have deserved that nomination more than Issa. I don't want to say deserve. Deserves the strong word for me, for somebody who's never acted, to be using on their skill set. But because they both were worthy and they both did a great job. But Tracy's performance stood out a little bit more, even though it was less screen time.
Well, I don't have either one of them winning.
I feel like
I don't have either one of them winning. That's a fact.
I feel you both will be surprised if you look up the screen time.
Yeah, I think so too. You have it up?
No, I just
okay. Yeah, I think so. I think so. It's interesting. A big one. I got two more. A big one that I'm just surprised they didn't nominate. I guess I'm not surprised, honestly. Denzel, we mentioned him earlier. He did have a movie come out, Equalizer 3. Not the best Equalizer. 1 and 2 are better than this one. It's still Denzel, but I think, and I want to see what you guys agree with me. I think at this point, when you're somebody like Denzel, you're not even competing against anybody else. You're competing against your past work.
Yeah,
like, that's what people judge you by. They don't judge you against, anybody else who's nominated. It's about like, is this the Training Day Denzel? Is this Flight Denzel? Book of Eli Denzel? So on and so forth.
Yeah.
But I am a little surprised he wasn't at least nominated. He wouldn't have won even if he was nominated in my eyes. But just the nomination I thought was interesting.
Well, I also agree with you a little bit, but at the same time, I think it has a lot to do with he wasn't going to win, so let's let some other people shine.
That makes sense. I'm cool with that. I'm very cool with that. And if I'm Denzel and I know I'm not gonna, almost like he's told that Sean Connery story, like get the coats. Like, I'm not. Don't invite me if I know I'm not gonna win. Like, I can go home, or I can
Yep.
chill or decide to decline it, or like you said, school, I can let these youngins shine. Like, I don't even want to crowd y'all room because I know what it is when I walk in.
Yep.
But a big snub for me that I really think she should have been nominated was Tiana Paris for They Clone Tyrone.
I'm not mad at that.
That's the last snub that I have, and that's the one I probably feel the most connected to.
Yeah.
I love Tiana Paris for one.
Gorgeous.
I love everything that she's in, but I really They Clone Tyrone was just one of those movies for me. I really enjoyed it. That chemistry between those three, it worked really well. I just love how black it was. Oh, look at Rachel! Look at Rachel! Look at Rachel! What's up, man? What's up?
It's a movie I'll never play again. I have no reason to ever watch this as long as I'm black ever again.
All right,
as long as I'm black.
Okay, so you'll never watch it. I guess the question is, did you enjoy it?
No.
You didn't enjoy it?
No.
How?
And I understood. Me and my homeboy were just talking about this the other day because he was yelling at me. But I just didn't like it. I understood what the message it was and the underlying tones and what they were trying to say. I don't give a fuck.
Okay. That's what I was going to ask. I was going to ask, was it too over the top for you with the message, but
let me tell you, I minored in Africana studies. I was doing black shit before it was the wave, okay? Nigga, I fucking get it. I understand the premise. I just didn't enjoy it. And I'm not a blaxploitation person either. So all of those elements, it fell flat to me. I don't want to hear this shit. Like, Psychedelic Shack is not where it's at. I don't want to hear this shit.
And that, ladies and gentlemen, is why we love movies. I said it at the beginning. Art is subjective. I love when people don't like shit that I like because I like to just get into that breakdown of that conversation. We'll probably have a deeper conversation when we actually cover They Clone Tyrone. If Rachel shows, she might not show up that day, y'all. I don't know. On a scale of
Queen of Slim.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of a top movie. I was gonna say from I don't know, Best Man to Queen of Slim. Where is it ranked? Where is it in the middle? Is it closer to Queen of Slim?
It's somewhere in the middle.
Okay. So it ain't all the way bad.
Yeah.
So a lot of it is just preference. A lot of it is just I'm not
for sure.
Same way with horror movies. Like I'm not gonna fuck with horror movies because I don't like horror movies. It's just one of those things. Got you. Okay, then. All right. My fault, y'all. Like I said, we just had to go through those snubs real quick because I was kind of Tiana one. That one really bothered me, and I was just curious as to what you guys thought about that. So we will go into outstanding screenplay. Just briefly, the nominees were 1001, Origin, American Fiction, Rustin, and They Clone Tyrone. Similar to the last ones, American Fiction won that, Corey Jefferson. And we will now get into the main categories, and we'll start with Outstanding Director. So I'm gonna mess this brother's name up. I know it's Blitz Bazawule.
Sure.
He directed The Color Purple. Ava DuVernay, Origin. Once again, we're kind of omitting ourselves because we did not see that film yet.
Yeah.
Michael B. Jordan, Creed 3. A.V. Rockwell, 1001. Corey Jefferson, American Fiction. Corey Jefferson was the winner with American Fiction for Outstanding Director. Ray P.
Yes.
You agree with that win? Or was there anybody else in that category that you felt should have taken that award home?
A.V. Rockwell, 1001.
Okay, hold that thought. School. What about you?
I thought Michael B. Jordan for Creed 3. I thought he did a hell of a job. Especially for that to be his directorial debut. And I saw it in theaters. And I saw it in a theater where they had like I can't remember what it's called, but it's like action seats and shit. Like they move and do it. Like it was just dope. It was a hell of an experience.
Before we get into 1001, Rachel, when I was watching these films from the perspective of best director, I agree 100% with School. As far as Michael B. Jordan did an incredible job. I understand why he didn't win. I don't even necessarily know if I would pick him to win, but the direction that he took that film and just the certain shots that he did, those some of the boxing sequences.
Yes.
That's something that Creed got a lot of praise for, especially in the original. They were very good. Him implementing the anime into things.
Yes.
Even the ASL aspect of it, American Sign Language. And it was very well done. And it shouldn't have been as good as it was from a directing standpoint. When you start getting some movie 3, 4, 5 of franchises, shit start to get a little bit tricky. You know what I mean? Especially, exactly, tricky. Damn, I'm fucking up. I was going to use the name that they use in American fiction. Detective Dictionary, was that it? I was going to call you that, but I fucked it up. Yeah. Either way, I just thought that he did no Sly Stallone. He did a great job of directing that. I was very impressed on the rewatch because I never watched it from I'm just focusing on the directing. I just, fuck with the story. And it was better than what it should have been. That film was better than what it should have been.
Absolutely. And
go ahead, School.
No, I was gonna say, even with like I said, it was a hell of an experience in theaters, but even on the rewatch was good. Like I rewatched it and I was like, it's still just as good. Even those moments, like I said, where the seats was moving and shit, it still had that movement with it. Like it was good. It was good. And for some reason, I noticed when I was looking through the categories that Black Reel also like awarded people like directorial debuts and stuff, but they didn't nominate Michael B. Jordan. And I was just like, what kind of was this? Just kind of like that Denzel aspect of it, like we just gonna nominate him to nominate him, or what?
Was it truly his full directorial debut?
I believe so.
Yeah, this was.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe it was something about him already being because.
But they nominated Jamie twice. Jamie got nominated for lead and support.
Yeah, I should have said that him and Coleman Domingo are the only two actors who got nominated twice, both for lead and support. Both well deserved as well. But let's transition into this 1001 conversation.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the direction, Rachel, but also I want to get your overall thoughts on the film itself.
I loved it. And I have spent a lot of time in New York and I do not New York.
Shout out to AJ, man.
Shout out to AJ. She gonna get me. She gonna get me. But I loved it. I love Tiana. I love Tiana in Harlem, in her element, I think and I don't know anything about A.V. Rockwell. I guess I could have Googled him, but having somebody like Tiana who has her own, not just the historical knowledge and references of the city, of the borough, the area, but who also is a director in her own right, just being able to, and I don't know how hands-on she was in that aspect, but with her skill set, in her own eye and experiences, she just had to have had some sort of impact, maybe in the way that she portrayed her character, maybe in the way she moved or walked in the scenes, or the way her body was. I just thoroughly enjoyed that movie.
No, absolutely, Rachel, because there's no way that they're filming a movie in Toledo when you're starring in it and you don't add extra elements that's
exactly.
If they filmed a movie in Cincinnati, and School and myself are starring in it, I would tell them we got to write a script or a moment where we go to the corner store and I pick up a bag of Grippos and I shake them.
Yep.
You got to be from Cincinnati to even know what the Grippo shake is and shit. Like that's super duper 8th level Cincinnati shit.
Yep. Hit a drive through. We got to hit a drive through.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think there would be personal elements that you add into it, and I'd be hard pressed to believe that she didn't assist in those. And shout out to 1001 because it did win Best Independent Film.
Yeah.
So I mean, incredible film. I got a little bit like a 1%, 2% beef with that movie.
What?
I think they had a lot of great moments that made me want more that they never got into.
Yeah.
Love the film. Love the film.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess that's kind of a compliment, backhanded compliment in a sense. Like it was so good in some parts that I wanted more. I wanted you to kind of expound upon that. Like I loved seeing Terry grow up. And just so this, even when the girl that worked at the spot and him finally like that advice, when Lucky told him how he got at his mom and he used that same line, like, and that just that Lucky Terry story, like a lot of it was just beautiful. And I would love that scene more. How did it go from I wanted you, not your son, to this is like my pops for real.
Yeah.
I love a coming of age story.
Yes. I
love that. Go ahead, School.
Nah, I agree 1,000 with both of you, but man, the aspect of Lucky and Terry was dope, and I would have just loved to see a little bit more Lucky and Terry, Lucky, even the I'm sorry, what am I looking for? The relationship, the side chick, that whole aspect, like it's a lot that they could have expanded on, and they just didn't, like you said, Rich. But
and I want to be clear for the record, they didn't have to. Like it was good as is. They didn't. I like movies like that. You don't have to. You leave it up to some interpretation. You kind of know what's going on. It's everybody's seen these things play out. So connect the dots if you may. It was just one of those things where I just personally was invested, and I would have liked to go down a rabbit hole. But I was perfectly fine with the way it was. I really did enjoy the film, and that is also my pick for Best Director. The way that New York was shot was
definitely a character.
Yeah, exactly. The gentrification aspect of it. Me feeling personally invested when they tried to play her and get her up out that apartment. Like I wanted to be there and have her back. Like so, when you have me invested like that in the film, you got me.
For sure. It was just a really, really beautiful story. And I know we're talking about directorial. However, when you think of Black women, man, we're dope. You just take this little boy that's in the trenches. I really thought that was her son that she went and got. You know what I mean?
That was the big twist for me.
Y'all need to see it.
Y'all gotta see it.
Just that love. Let me care for you and take care of you and genuinely love you because I know what it's like to just be out here.
Yes.
They did a great job of building that up to where I thought she was just on her ass. It was like, I'm about to get my son back. I'm about to kid. Nah, that wasn't even my child. Like, but you grew into that. Like, and just the whole story of what makes family, all of that. Because when you look at everybody, nobody was blood related. He wasn't related to Lucky or her. Like, so, but that's his family. And the trauma of learning at 17, a couple weeks before 18, that you've been kidnapped, like that's not your biological, like just that's a lot. That's
not even that, bro. Like think about this. He knew he had been kidnapped, but he thought he at least was kidnapped by his biological mother.
That part. Because also had resentment for her from the times that she was gone. It did not have him. Nigga. This just shorty from around the way, she not your mom.
Shit, wow.
But she loves
you.
I
guess the other aspect, like I said, this isn't a 1001 breakdown. We'll have that another day.
Yeah.
But just the way everybody in her life was, she was taking Terry to her homegirl's house, and she had issues with her mom. And nobody was like, yo, what are you doing? Like, this is you bugging. So none of that happened. But I guess we not a community that's gonna say something. It would be out of character for us to be like, I'm gonna call child protection. Nah, we don't do that. We ain't breaking up the community. So I get it. Really enjoyed that film. Really enjoyed the performances.
It was on Barack's favorite movie list.
I believe it. I believe it. Yeah,
I definitely believe that.
I enjoy it. So, outstanding supporting performance. As I mentioned earlier, this is the first year where they poured it into one category. We're gonna name the nominees and the winner, and then we'll probably, if you want to, name our best actor and actress. if
Okay.
you like to. And best overall too. So as far as the nominees go, Erica Alexander for American Fiction, Sterling K. Brown for American Fiction, Viola Davis for Air, Coleman Domingo for The Color Purple, Danielle Brooks for The Color Purple, Jamie Foxx for They Clone Tyrone, Taraji P. Henson for The Color Purple, Jonathan Majors for Creed 3, Davon Joy Randolph for The Holdovers, and Journey Smollett for The Burial. School, or excuse me, the winner for the Black Reel Award was Danielle Brooks for The Color Purple. School, what do you think about the overall winner? And if you had to break it down into actor and actress, who was taking home your award?
I didn't see The Color Purple, but I've heard
right.
outstanding things about Danielle Brooks. I'm a big fan of her, especially from Orange is the New Black. Tasty, what's happening? But I really, if it was up to me, but like I said, I'm kind of omitted because I haven't seen The Color Purple. But from the movies on that list that I've seen, I'm going Sterling K. Brown, man. I believe I haven't seen him play anything like that before, and I feel like he was open, man. He was into that role, and he just did his thing, man. And that's hard to do when you're on screen with Jeffrey Wright, who was murdering every scene. But when he was on scene with Sterling, they were together. Sterling was cooking, man.
Nah, that's a fact. Two things real quick before I get to you, Rachel. Two things. I don't want to spoil what my pick is. I'm gonna let Rachel go. I think I think so highly of Sterling K. Brown that him bodying it wasn't even a surprise to me. Him holding his weight with anybody is not a surprise to me. I get your point. But him being open and into his character, that's just what he does. He's one of them ones. And the second thing that I wanted to ask you, I didn't specify earlier. Did you see The Holdovers?
Yes.
No. Oh, did you see? Okay.
No.
Ray P.
Yeah.
Who's your choice?
Okay. So I had just wrote down, if not Danny Brooks, then I have Journey Smollett for The Burial.
I'm not mad at that.
As my winner. Going to a man, I am going to say it might tie between Sterling for American Fiction, and breaking it down like that, I just really hadn't thought of it. Or I'm gonna give it to Jonathan Majors, actually, for Creed 3.
Okay. In school, I didn't ask you who you would have picked for an actress.
Yeah, it would have been Journey. But it was,
I'm going.
Yeah.
Go ahead, my bad.
I might go Coleman Domingo over. Actually, give me Coleman for The Color Purple. He was no Danny Glover, but Coleman Domingo is phenomenal.
He's phenomenal in everything.
I'm gonna be real. Listen, my best overall, Davon Joy Randolph.
Divine.
Divine. I don't know. I knew I was gonna do that. No, it's Davon.
You really like
she I heard her say it. I think it is Davon.
Okay. Yeah, don't let me lie.
I'm about to say you had me bugging for a second. I'm like, damn, because I made a point of it. I ain't want to fuck it up. All right. So you were about to ask me something.
Another movie I'll never press play on ever again as long as I'm Black.
Okay. So here's the thing. Let's talk about the holdovers. Yeah, let's talk about the holdovers real quick. And my joy with that film. And I'm gonna tell you why I appreciated it so much. So I found myself, and we've talked about this in previous episodes. All the good stories are coming to television. You know, they're made in whether they're regular series or limited series. We're getting a lot of good content on the TV side. I don't know when it started, and this probably goes back to Star Wars days. But I feel around that 2008 to 2012 range, from that phase one of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And I guess let me be clear. studios, first and foremost, number one priority is to make money. All they care about is making money. You know, and a very, very, very distant second, they care about awards. You know, if your studio can say, "Oh, our movie won best film, we had best actor, blah blah blah," but that's a very distant second to making money. Let's turn this profit. That's how it works, right? And you see these franchises such as your Dark Knight trilogy, you know, what Christopher Nolan did there, and obviously the introduction of the MCU Phase 1, Iron Man leading up to the Avengers, and the way they printed money. You know, the way that even the Fast and Furious saw that and they revamped their whole shit and started making theirs a franchise. And once you start the studio, Hollywood turned into a franchise town instead of a film town.
Yeah.
You know, and there's been conversations about this. I'm not, you know, this isn't a new idea, but I think movies for the most part have lost their way on how to tell stories. Like if we can't do a long form, I don't know how to really make it interesting in 90 minutes, 120 minutes, whatever the case may be. And a lot of the films that I've seen over the past few years when I go to the theater, they're cool, but they might be either extra preachy, a la your Queen and Slim, a la your They Clone Tyrone, or they might be trying to be too smart and fuck it up for themselves. They don't know how to stick the landing. There's just a lot of things, or your typical slave movies or your historical pieces. And I was just like, damn, like there's got to be something interesting out there. And I love a movie that can just kind of drop you into this world that you're not familiar with. For those who haven't seen it, it's kind of a period piece. It took place in 1970, 1971. And it's just a really singular story about what happened if this group of people who are opposite from each other have to stay at this boarding school because they don't have family for the holidays, and what events take place and how those lives cross. And it was beautifully written, extremely well acted. Paul Giamatti and Dave Vine both won Golden Globes for Best Lead and Best Supporting. And I just thought that hour 43 or 2 hour and 12-minute escape was perfect because it was nothing like I had been seeing. It wasn't something that I'm expecting a sequel from. I was very pleased with how everything ended. I didn't need anything else to that story. I got in and got out. These are people, just like in that film, these are people that I experienced for this moment, and I'm never going to see them again. You feel me?
Yeah.
And sometimes that's how life is. And I love the fact that I got pulled into that. Is it a movie that you can watch every year? No. I'll watch it again. I don't know when, but I will watch it again because I'm a big Paul Giamatti fan. Like I said, Dave Vaughn did her thing. But that was a very long way of saying it. But I love that movie for that reason. Like I was, as you guys can tell, I'm passionate about film.
Yeah, buddy.
I just thought it was very well done.
I love it.
It started off reminding me of Carpe Diem, the Robin Williams movie. Okay, yeah, I'm gonna get into this, cannon to the left. But
completely understand why if you don't, I completely understand why you would never watch it again. Completely.
Yeah, for you to say you felt like you got in and got out, I felt like I kept looking at my watch like, oh my God, this shit is still on. Oh my God, what is happening?
I love it.
Let's go.
You know what it reminded me of? There was a moment, and that's funny you said that. You know what it reminded me of? We all have listened to Tax Season, Tax podcast from back in the day. There was a moment, I don't know which episode, but he just made a comment about how he thought Breaking Bad was more, he was more drawn to Breaking Bad than The Wire because he lived The Wire. He knew The Wire. He doesn't know shit about New Mexico and the white dude cooking up meth. Like that was more intriguing to him. And I think I kind of had that same effect with this. Like this is Massachusetts, boarding school, a whole bunch of shit that's going on. This isn't a part of my everyday life or my regular life, or I didn't grow up with this type of shit, but it's cool to experience for a second. It's like visiting a cousin that's at boarding school and seeing the bullshit and getting up out of there. Like, I don't know. It was just, I enjoyed it a lot. So I'm giving it to Dave Vaughn because she was incredible in the film. And if I had to give it to an actor, I was telling school off camera, Jonathan Majors, I remember when Rachel and myself did the Creed episode, and we were talking about how Jonathan Major was going to blow Michael B. Jordan out the water. And that didn't happen. And shout out to Michael B. Jordan for holding it down.
Yeah.
But my issue with Jonathan Majors in Creed 3, and I was telling this to school, was there were moments, for example, the beach scene. After he wins the title, Michael B. Jordan comes, confronts him on the beach in his suit. That was your Oscar reel moment. That you were supposed to body that scene, and you did a great job, but it wasn't. I felt like there was more left. Like you could have delivered a little bit more to kind of show. Let me put it like this in the most simple terms. I feel like Jonathan Majors was better than that scene. Like he had another level he could have went to.
Mm-hmm.
I know exactly what you're saying and what you mean by that.
Yeah.
I agree in part, but I had a thought, and I thought it the first time I saw it, and then however many subsequent times I've seen it, that I believe that Jonathan Majors, he is a method actor. He really gets into his characters. But from what we've seen of him pre-blowing up, I don't know or think that he's a nigga's nigga. And I
nigga had on Jinko jeans. Listen, man, that nigga had on Jinko jeans. He's not a nigga's nigga.
Hey,
I told y'all what my pops told me, man. Never trust a black man without a mustache.
Facts.
Keep going.
All of that. So I think not just that scene, and he really did do well in the movie Creed 3, but there was just always for me an element of this isn't believable. I believe, and now we know that his obsession with Dr. King and Coretta, now I understand why
she ain't no diva.
You're stupid. But now I understand why Lovecraft Country, you could body that because that's your era. That's your shit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, he dresses.
Race relations, you got it, bud.
That's real.
You can do that.
He would have bodied Rusty.
Huh?
Not that role, but he would have bodied somebody in Rusty.
Yep. Yeah, for sure. So I think for me that was maybe like a little bit of that, because I felt like I was feeling that the whole movie, not just that scene. Like there was just maybe a certain level that he didn't go to. And candidly, I ain't acted since high school. So
yeah, and that's the thing, Rachel. That's the thing, Rachel. These are everybody we're discussing. We're nominated for an award, so it's picking the best of the best. We're not. Sure. These are top tier performances of the year. Yeah. Talking. But to my point, and just to wrap that part up, the scene when he's at Donnie's house, he's asking for that title shot and telling him like, I don't think you're hearing me. Like that scene.
Yeah,
that was so much better. And I'm like, if I can see you do that, I want to see you do that and more in the beach scene and so on and so forth. But that was my favorite scene of his, probably in that movie from an acting standpoint.
But is that a him thing, or is that a directorial oversight for not pulling more from you?
Possible. Look at you. Look at you. I guess my actor would be. It's hard not to say Coleman Domingo, man. Right? It's hard not to say Coleman Domingo. Like he was, like you said, no Danny Glover. And just shout out, it'll be 39 years for Color Purple this year, 40 next year. For a film like that, based in that time frame, to still hold up all this time later, all these years later, is incredible. But I think it's got to be Coleman. If not, it'll be Jamie Foxx. I think Jamie Foxx did great in They Clone Tyrone. But from an acting standpoint, and that's a Jamie Foxx curse. Like he's just so naturally talented. It's almost like him being Jamie Foxx.
For sure.
Yep.
All right. So we did best supporting or outstanding supporting, excuse me. Outstanding lead performance. Nominees: Fantasia Barrino, The Color Purple; John Boyega, They Clone Tyrone; Coleman Domingo, Rustin; Jeffrey Wright, American Fiction; Ingenue Ellis Taylor, Origin; Jamie Foxx, The Burial; Kelvin Harrison Jr., Chevalier; Michael B. Jordan, Creed 3; Tiana Taylor, 1001; Sophie Wilde, Talk to Me. The winner was Jeffrey Wright for American Fiction. Ray P, we'll start with you this go round. Do you agree with the choice? And if not, who were your winners?
If it's not Jeffrey, I'm giving it to Kelvin Harrison for Chevalier.
Ooh.
Um, or Jamie, but for real, Kelvin. That might have been one of my favorite watches of all of these movies.
So let's talk about it, Rachel. Let's get into it. And we'll get to you here in a second, School. But I want to just throw in this nugget. One of the coolest things about doing this, and I alluded a little bit to it when I talked about Talk to Me, was I'm watching films that when I saw the Chevalier trailer, I'm like, I'm out on this. Like, I don't think I'm fucking. I just didn't see it. And it was the first
kind of shit.
to the point where I made it my first watch when I was doing the prep for this.
Ooh,
let me go and get one of those, like, let me get this out the way type of watches.
Yeah.
The opening scene.
It have you on your feet.
Yo, the opening scene. If you had any doubt about whether you were staying for this movie, that opening scene, that let me know right away. Oh, I'm fucking with this. And it was an incredible. It's a perfect definition of don't judge a book by its cover. Like, watch this shit, like, because this shit is dope. And I do that every time. I was so out on Game of Thrones, so I'm not watching that fantasy old shit. And I finally started watching, like, oh, this shit dope. I just thought it was an incredible story. Go ahead, Rachel, get into it. One of your favorite watches.
That was one of my favorite watches. And I like Kelvin. I liked him in Godfather of Harlem. I liked him in the Tracee Ellis Ross movie where he played her son. It was basically double platinum, her mother's movie with Brandy, but the Tracee Ellis Ross version.
Damn, I forgot about that.
I genuinely like this movie. And to your point, when I first turned, I like a period piece. Again, I am a history person, but when I turned this shit on, I was like, I don't quite know what I'm getting into because I didn't even watch the trailer. I just was like, search, here it go, put it on. And I was like, oh shit.
Oh, you don't remember the trailer from when it was out, like earlier in that year? Oh, okay. I remember seeing the trailer like when it was out, and I'm like, oh, I saw it in theaters, not the movie, but the trailer, and I'm like, oh, I'm not seeing that.
Not at all.
Okay.
Not at all. I have no recollection prior to typing it in for anything about this movie. So the first 5 minutes draw you in, and I just feel like it never let up. Even when it was calm, the seas were calm, this, that, and the third, but the story was still gripping. It was still giving. And it's not really a it is based off a true story-ish, but it's not like an original story. It's not some shit that we wouldn't expect or known to happen. Racism, of course. Parents, of course. Niggas being the best, of course. Like, we know all of this shit. This is just like baking a cake. You know, we know the recipe is here. The ingredients are here, but that movie just gave and gave and gave and gave. We talked about racism, but here, look, me and this blonde ass hair, but you having on that blonde ass wig and your people looking at you like, nigga, what the fuck? But also being disconnected because you were taken from the plantation. Your white daddy came and got you and brought you into, made you a man of society. They reminded you that you were still a nigga, like they do, but
always
able to experience a different world that prior to your father freeing your mother, basically, she would have no knowledge of. You know, she would just be completely oblivious to that kind of life. I've heard stories of you, just that disconnect and seeing him have the realization of who he is and become an activist and be like, fuck it, and see that these people are really for me. I just love that. I'll watch that shit tonight. I love that movie.
School, you want to go ahead and chime in on that?
I'm everything you said, Rachel, I agree with. Specifically, I didn't see a preview. I didn't look for any of that. I turned it on and I was like, but like you said, that first 5 minutes, it pulls you in. And like you said, of course, it's the 17th century. It's going to be racism, but man, that movie is fucking phenomenal. Like you said, I will watch that again. I was very surprised when that shit went off. I'm like, damn, I would watch that shit again, like,
Yeah.
and again. Like, I love history, like you said. One of my favorites is Lincoln. So I would definitely watch that shit again. And
You don't hear me? I said, "Fuck you."
hey,
Inside joke.
yeah, man. And I think it's I think one thing that always slips my mind, and it's dumb as fuck to even think like this, but to think that the original slaves are Africans. Like, at first when I was watching, I'm like, why does Mama sound like that? And then I thought, it hit me. I'm like, nigga, they from Africa, nigga. Like, they took them niggas from Africa. Like, but yeah, man, hell of a movie, man. Hell of a movie. And like you said, the talent, they try to erase our history. And that's one thing that's just shitty about white folks and all that bullshit. Like, they always trying to erase our history, but they can't do it because it's always gonna come back, baby. We got it.
For sure.
We got it.
Yeah, I won't belabor the point. You guys said everything about Chevalier that I agree with. It's one of those, and like I said, I guess I have the only distinction of remembering seeing the trailer before. And just this nigga playing the violin. I'm cool. I don't even know. Nah. First 5 minutes, like you said, Rachel, from Mozart leaving that stage. Who the fuck is that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, all of that. Incredible film. I'm so happy we did this because I don't think I would have watched that film any other way.
Yep.
Yeah.
Even if y'all told me, "Yo, check this out," I'm like, "God, I'll get to it."
Yep.
I'll put it on the list, but I wouldn't have ran to go see it.
Yep.
Yeah.
So cool. I'm sorry, Rachel. Did you pick an actress?
No. What is this?
Outstanding lead. So you have Fantasia. Obviously, we didn't see Origin. And you also have Tiana Taylor and Sophie Wilde. So it's really between Fantasia and Tiana.
I'm gonna give it to Tiana.
I can understand that. School, who are your winners for that category?
Of course, Jeffrey Wright, he did his thing, but I everything Rachel said, Calvin and Tiana. I mean, Tiana wins kind of by default on my end.
Yeah, because you didn't see Color Purple or
Origin,
or Talk to Me, so I can understand that.
Yeah.
Tiana definitely when it comes to actor. I mean, and Fantasia did her thing. It's kind of hard when you're just doing a remake. Even though I don't want to discredit her from everything she did, the whole cast was just star-studded.
Not even just that. Tasha didn't have a lot of lines.
No, it was a lot of
singing.
It was definitely cast singing.
Yeah, well, yeah, musical, but even just like I felt like Taraji had a lot of lines.
Mm-hmm.
I felt like Danny Brooks had a lot of lines.
That's fair.
Not even juxtaposing against Whoopi Goldberg and Oprah because that is straight dialogue. I didn't feel like Celie had a lot of dialogue in this movie. She had a lot of quiet moments and facial expressions and this and other things that command attention, but it's not really comfortable to me.
A lot of facial expressions.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great point, Rachel. That's a great point. My winners will be Tiana, like I said, and I'm good with Jeffrey Wright. I really enjoyed him in the film. Coleman, once again, as Rustin. I thought he did a great job.
Yeah, he did.
Real quick, I don't want to shout out Sophia Wilde because I know you guys didn't see Talk to Me, but from the degree of difficulty from a horror film, some of the stuff she had to do from a physical acting standpoint was very impressive.
Yeah.
And it's based in Australia, so it's a little bit different. She has an accent and all that, but she, different culture over there. I really enjoyed her performance. She did a great job. Not good enough for me to put her over Tiana, but great job. School, you were gonna say something?
Yeah, I was just gonna bring up Domingo and Rustin because like you're talking about the degree of difficulty. One of the degrees of difficulty with that role is getting out of the shadow of Martin Luther King Jr., man. Like, your average person I'm sure believes that Martin Luther King Jr. is who set up that March on Washington, and you know what I mean, like, and then to play someone that's kind of in the shadows, and not only that, a gay man.
Well,
He's part of the community.
No, I know he is, but I don't think your average. They definitely don't teach that shit in school. They know. You know, I know of Rustin because of my dad, who my father is.
Mhm.
Like, my father was teaching me about Medgar Evers and the Rustins and those type of people. But I don't think that your average, even the average school, is teaching you about a Rustin.
For sure.
So that's
Yeah,
all I mean. Like,
they barely teach you about MLK anymore.
yeah, but what I'm saying is, he did such a good job that if you once you watch this, if you've never heard of him, you're deep diving about this man. You want to know more about him. So yeah, it's always a degree of difficulty of playing someone that's real, you know.
For sure.
So,
He bodies everything, but that
yeah.
was and that was a very unique performance because, like you say, he's playing someone, so it's not just him.
Creating someone.
Yeah,
Right.
creating something. It's not like a Bill Street Could Talk or Euphoria. Well, Euphoria is probably a little bit different too. So I don't know. It's a ton of stuff.
Man,
But
I'm a voice person, and I love the tonal quality of his voice. Not even just how he played Rustin, but just in general, in everything. I love the grit and the rasp in his voice.
Yeah.
Ooh, what's that?
But nah, Coleman Domingo, man, he's a whole G. Like he did his thing. He did his thing for sure. We get to our last. You said what?
I said, and he's fly as fuck.
Super fly. Like super fly. Like the flyest.
Fresh fly, fitted.
Yeah, like he the fly. He like the type of fly where you look and say, I can't pull that off. Like
For sure.
That's when you know you out this world fly.
Yeah.
Like when I can't even wear that shit. And Denzel looked at Jamie Foxx in that one, like, you a bad boy, don't pants. So that's one of them. Like, I'm giving you props because I know I can't pull it off. So shout out to you. We get to the last category, which the Black Reel Awards always ends with as well. Any major film award show will end with outstanding film. So we had 5 nominees. We had The Color Purple, Origin, Rustin, American Fiction, Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. The winner was American Fiction. School, you agree with the choice, or did you have another film?
No, I agree with the choice. This was my choice by far. Hell of a film, hell of a film, hell of a message, hell of a cast. Just I'm glad that you did what you did yesterday for me, and we switched up movies because this is something that needs to be seen. And it also doesn't beat you over the head with it, and it has that that comedy aspect of it. Because I mean, let's be real, some of that shit just be funny, man. Like just the shit they put up with. The fuck, like let's change it to fuck, like.
Yeah. Ray P.
Racism is silly.
It is.
American Fiction is my pick too. Yeah.
I think it sweeps for all of us. American Fiction. We talked about Coleman Domingo and Rustin. We talked about the story. The film was cool. Important story to be told. I didn't necessarily like it. I don't know. Outstanding film nominee. I get why it was, but from the quality of film, and that's not to down it. I just don't think it was in the same category as American Fiction or The Color Purple. And I want to make sure I say this: Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. It's hard for animated films to get love.
Yeah,
get that. I want to make sure everybody understands this was the only animated film that was nominated for a reason, and it was nominated for outstanding film because it is that good.
Yeah,
I remember seeing the first Spider-Man into the Spider-Verse, whatever it was, the first animated one.
Yeah,
has a black director and everything else. I saw that in the theaters, Dolo, and enjoyed every moment. So when this one came out, I was really excited, and it's an incredible film. It is the highest rated film out of all 5 of these.
Yeah.
We do our Too High, Too Low just right. It's the 8.6.
Damn.
Oh wow.
Yeah, the highest film, and it's an incredible, but it is kind of put in that box of animation.
Yeah.
That's not your thing. It's hard to really get into it. And not only is it animated, it's also a comic book. So
Yeah.
animated and all these characters and all these different Spider-Man. I get it. If you're the average film goer, you're not going to probably take your time to watch it. And it's long for animated film. I think it's like 2 hours and 20 minutes. So if you're into that, you're going to love it. I mean, love it, love it. But if you're not, I get if you didn't watch it, and I understand. But I did just want to say a little piece on it because it is that great.
Sure.
So American Fiction is our winner. Let's have a conversation about it just briefly. Christina. Shout out to Christina.
Christina.
So American Fiction came out where she is first. I just saw it this week for the first time. This is taking school yesterday was my second time watching it. Like I said, that wasn't the plan. But I saw it on MLK Day. And Rachel, I think you saw it last night too, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So Christina saw it maybe last week or so. And I sent her a message like, yo, I can't wait for this to come here so I can go check it out. She was like, I drove in the city for this. I could have waited. And I'm like, what? Like, dang, what's wrong with it? And I'm like, I'll circle back once I see it to get your thoughts. So she told me she loved the film. Absolutely loved it. But she hated the ending. And that's what turned her off overall. She hated the ending of this film. Kind of made her like question if everything was real or not. A lot of the elements such as, what was the housekeeper's name? I can't think of it off the top of my head, but either way, like her love story, like damn, they building all this stuff up. Is any of it real? I personally don't agree, but I did understand what she was saying, and she also mentioned, I want to say that she felt like they underutilized the women in this film, and they could have had a lot more to do. So that was her beef with it. So she didn't hate the film; she just didn't like the ending. And there are people like me. I talk about the ending of How I Met Your Mother.
Yeah.
9 seasons of Fire TV to end that way pissed me off. So I get how an ending can mess everything else up for you. But what were you guys' thoughts on the film overall and the message?
Okay, to that point, I think all of that was intentional.
Yeah.
Okay.
The underutilization of the women, because we're talking about women in Hollywood, especially right now, so much. So I think that was just like another highlight on what we see with that. I thought that the ending of the movie was so ridiculous and perfect because Hollywood is ridiculous, especially where Black movies, quote unquote, Black movies are in consideration. Ironically enough, I just watched Get Rich or Die Trying literally the other day. So
I watched that like once every 18 months.
So when I seen it, I was like, oh shit.
Yep.
I was geeked. I'm sure Curtis Jackson got a nice little check for that.
Of course.
But I genuinely laughed out loud in this movie. And Leslie Uggam, shout out to her. She is the original Kizzy from Roots. She looked so much like my grandmother in the movie. I started crying in the theater. It was crazy to me. It just blew my mind when she was dancing
with Cliff
at the home. I was like, she looks like Jenny fucking Phillips. And I just started like boo-hooing in the theater. Shout out to my granny, RIP girlfriend. But I genuinely enjoyed this movie. I liked Issa as a character. I liked the back and forth between she and Monk once they got to the book. The book reviews. Yeah, for sure. The fact that she didn't at all see herself and what she was doing in regards to what Stag Lee was doing was crazy as fuck to me, but relatable. Sometimes we can be intentionally or willfully obtuse, but whatevs. But I thought they did an amazing job of telling stories of Black people who are, I don't want to say upper echelon, but who are society Black folks. They had this random Black housekeeper maid type situation who was a
They're-
part of the family. Like there were a lot of
My
low
fault,
key.
Rachel. They're in Boston.
They're in Boston.
Yep.
Lots of random low key stereotypes. Other tropes upon tropes, but they didn't beat you over the head with the tropes
Nope.
that were not meant to be exaggerated.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Mhm.
So I genuinely like this movie.
Also, real quick, and I'm gonna throw it to you, School. Great theater experience movie.
For
Yeah.
sure. For sure.
Perfect theater experience. This is one that you want to see in the theaters because anytime I watch it in the future, like all films that I've seen in the theaters, I go back to that time I saw it in the
Mhm.
theaters. Certain moments come up, I think about the theater reaction. There is something to be said about being in the theater and seeing white people uncomfortable.
Yes.
And I think this is important to say. Noticing what people laugh at.
Mm-hmm.
What black people are laughing at, or white people are laughing at, and when they're not laughing is even more. All of that is just it's fun to observe. I'm just gonna say it like that. But a great theater experience movie. School. Obviously, you just saw it not even 24 hours ago. What's your thoughts?
Man, hell of a movie. I agree with everything you said, Rachel. My favorite thing about this film was they didn't beat you over the head with the tropes like you said, but
Mhm.
just like I'm gonna fuck up the name of the movie, the 17th century movie. Yeah, whatever. They beat you, not beat you over the head, but the first 5 minutes, the first 2 minutes of this movie are phenomenal because that's where we are in society. White people being upset over shit that we should be offended over. Like, for
Mhm.
real? Like you walking out for this? Like, not only that, now a motherfucker got to take a leave of absence and some more shit. Like, it was a, I guess in a sense, Monk was kind of like an angry black man, but a newer age angry black man, huh?
Schools. So
Yeah.
yeah, and just to go to your point, what you just said, School. He said it in the movie, like when he was having that conversation with Erica Alexander's character. What was her name? Coraline.
Coraline. Mm-hmm.
When he said like my life is a disaster, but not a disaster like this. Like I'm an angry black man, but not the angry black man you TV and society is taught to recognize. So that's a great point. I didn't mean to cut you off. My bad.
No. That was it. I love this movie, man, and I love Jeffrey Wright because I tend to go back to a lot of movies that he's been in. He's played Martin Luther King in Boycott. He's played a Hispanic in Shaft. Like, he's played so many different roles, but this one is fucking amazing. Damn, man, great actor.
There is somebody very recently, and I can't remember who it was, that was like a newer actor, and they said, "Who would you want your career to be fashioned after?" And he said Jeffrey Wright, because he's done everything, and not just done everything, but does everything well.
Yep. He was in the Batman. He killed the Batman. Like, he's fucking phenomenal, man.
He killed Rustin. He had like 2 scenes in Rustin. Probably that. Like he
as Adam Clayton Powell.
Yep. Adam Clayton Powell. Hey, one of my favorite roles he was in that was small was in Ali, when Muhammad Ali talked to the media after he said, I ain't never been called Via Khan ain't never called me a nigga. You sure, chap? You sure you want to do that?
You know what you just did? Yeah, you know what you just did? Listen, I love people like Jeffrey, and this is, I guess, symbolic for this year because you have people like Jeffrey Wright, you have people like Paul Giamatti, these quote unquote character actors who have just been around for so long. Like I always talk about Paul Giamatti and The Negotiator and just how he kind of stole that movie and his role. And Jeffrey Wright has, to your point, Rachel, not only has he been in things, but he's done them to the max. Like he didn't leave any stone unturned when it comes to these roles. And for our whole lives, we've grown up with the movie star complex. We were attached to movie stars, your Will Smiths and your Tom Cruise and your big box office summer hits. And you got these guys who are just plugging away.
Yeah.
Just performance, not movie after movie, performance after performance.
For sure.
Bodying that shit.
For
Philip
sure.
Seymour, R.I.P. Philip Seymour Hoffman. Like just all these people who are just, you watch them and like, yo, like how is this person not bigger than this? And we obviously know because they're not quote unquote movie stars. They're not gonna be your July 4th movie. But if you want a performance, and like I said, I went on my whole monologue about the holdovers. When you're starting to tell these stories where the performance matters, I'm glad that people like that are starting to get their just due.
For sure.
That's the culture we already know about Jeffrey Wright, but for everybody to see the range, and that's another part of it. It's the range that these people are going. It's just an incredible thing to witness, and you know, I just love it as a film goer. I am curious to see what the conversation looks like for American Fiction in about a year or two. I'm very strong. I always say it's hard to call things classics. It's hard to call them great when you just digest them within a certain time frame. You know, obviously, first watch, first listen, all that stuff. We all feel great about it. And I'm not going to say the position's going to change. I just want to see how it's going to hold up. I want to see how we feel about it. And that's when you start, you know, 1 year, 3 year, 5 years. That's when you can properly say, all right, this one's a classic. Because 5 years later, I still love it like I did the first day. With the messaging and with how much it is based on society today.
Yeah.
I wonder if we're not in the same place, which of course that's a silly thing to say. Of course we will be. But I wonder how it's going to age. But incredible film. Runaway winner for outstanding film for me.
For sure.
Very enjoyable experience. Very funny. My type of sense of humor. The dry, dark humor. Even when a shout out to I think John Ortiz. If I'm not mistaken, we just talked about him. Yeah, John Ortiz. He played Arthur in the film. We just talked about him in The American Gangster. He was Russell Crowe's partner who ended up dying. Just that dark sense of humor when they on the phone and he just blows his brain. It's like, oh my bad, you're back. And like that shit, that's my type of humor. It's sick in the head, but that's my shit. It was incredible. Obviously, it's based off of a novel. I don't know the name of it off the top of my head, but for everybody out there, make sure you go check all these films out. All of them, literally all of them, are worth a watch. I don't think there was one film where I felt bad about as far as like, damn, I'm trying to get through this. Even if it's not your speed, it's worth a watch.
Yeah.
You're like, I don't know. But personally, I like them. And sometimes it's cool to watch it just to make sure, like, oh yeah, I hated that shit.
For sure. For sure.
So yeah, this was, I don't know about y'all. I had a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was
hell
good.
Yeah.
Had a lot of fun just talking about different movies and doing something a little bit different. Like I said, I would really love to come back and, like I said, giving things time to age, I would love to go back to like 05 or 07 and just see if those movies, the winners still should have been the winners and how they held up over time. Because I know 12 Years a Slave done won some shit. I'm sure I'll pick something else over that. When I was looking, Crash won for outstanding film. I've already discussed how I feel about Crash.
Great.
All types of stuff. So it'll be nice or cool to kind of go back and look at everything. Any final thoughts or words before we get up out of here?
I have something. Shout out to the Black Reel Awards. Just for the simple fact, man, the shit that not necessarily of the culture, they don't know. And the reason I'm saying that is because and I sent this to you, Rich, for sure. The cast of Martin was on the Emmys. What was that, last week or this past week, or I think it was Sunday.
Yeah.
Monday.
And they were finally given their flowers, you know, by the Emmys. And to think about that 5-season run, the fact that Martin Lawrence does not have a fucking Emmy for the third season of Martin is fucking insane. Even a nomination, like that shit is crazy.
I get what you're saying. It makes complete sense, but I get what you're saying.
Yeah, it makes sense. But at the same time, it's like now they want to give the flowers because they see how big that shit is to the culture because we run this shit. So now they're like, oh, that was a good show. You know how many people I run into that's like, oh, I love Martin. That shit's good. Like, nigga, that shit was good 30 years ago. Like, the fuck
school, they had a saying for this in American Fiction. Like when he called Monk about even being on the committee for judge, like we realized in today's age where people are very aware about diversity, you know, we're going back in time to make sure we correct that issue. Like that's what's going on. That movie was complete satire because that's the real shit. So
exactly.
No, you're absolutely right as far as you know, people finally getting their flowers. I didn't mean to cut off your thought.
But no, I was just trying to say, you know, shout out because it's, you know, the 24th annual Black Reel Award. So they've been hit. They've been on it. So shout out to them, man.
Yeah. Ray P?
Yeah, same thing. Shout out to the Black Reel Awards. Holler at us for the 25th.
Yeah. Gotcha.
Yeah,
I would love to be there. We got y'all.
We got y'all. You heard it.
Yeah, no doubt. And just really just kind of to echo off that, School, what you were saying. I said it at the beginning. That's what the Culture Garden was kind of built on. There are going to be thousands or hundreds of podcasts that are going to be covering the Academy Awards and the SAG Awards and the Golden Globes and the Emmys and so on and so forth. But the space was made for award shows like the Black Reel Awards, and highlighting us and highlighting the culture and all of our achievements that might get swept under the rug or not properly recognized. To your point, School, so on and so forth, shows like Martin and even these films that we're talking about now. You're not going to see many of them up for Oscars or big time awards, but they deserve them. And they go platinum in the hood, as they like to say. So, yeah, absolutely. Black Reel Awards, holla at us. We here for you. You know, we be the official coverage for the 25th, 26th, 27th, 28th.
All of that.
Beyond all of them. You know what I mean? We're going to speak that into existence. But this was a pleasure talking about movies with the two people I love talking about movies with the most. And also for delivering something to the people that we love sharing with the most. So we thank y'all for tuning in to us. As I mentioned, please check out our link tree. We got a lot of stuff coming for y'all in 2024. We are just getting started. We got y'all School's Guilty Pleasures, Culture Garden, and a ton of other things that we're going to be rolling out this year. More content and going from there. Man, appreciate y'all taking this ride with us and rocking with us. We'll see y'all next week for a traditional episode. We'll be talking about a movie. Y'all be cool. How y'all be cool?
Peace.
Bye, guys.
Yeah.